And our second main topic today gets submitted to us by Hugh Jax, who writes, as we all know, the new standard window is 45 days. That's the theatrical window. For those of you who don't know what he's kind of talking about, the theatrical window is the agreed upon period of time that movie theaters and studios agree that once a movie goes into a theater, it can only play in theaters for that amount of time. And right now, the standard theatrical window has been adjusted to 45 days. At any rate, as we all know, the new standard theatrical window is 45 days. However, Christopher Nolan is apparently seeking a 90 to 120 days for his new Universal film. 4 months pre-pandemic was pretty normal. However, well, actually even 4 months was long pre-pandemic, was pretty normal. However, especially considering a crowded slate of films, it just doesn't make much sense. Movies make 95% of their box office in the first month or so. It would basically just be sitting there those last 2 months. I understand Nolan is very traditional, but times are changing. Thoughts? All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, so this is kind of a follow-up to a story that we covered yesterday, that Christopher Nolan, of course, the biggest free agent in entertainment after leaving and having very public parting of the ways with Warner Brothers, the biggest free agent in all of entertainment, is taking his talents to Universal. And he's going to be doing his next film about the guy who contributed to creating the atomic bomb. It sounds fascinating. I can't wait to see it. And he's taking it over to Universal. Now, one of the things that we knew was that there was a big bidding war. Everybody from obviously Warner Brothers was trying to retain him, so they were throwing offers at him. We know that Paramount was involved in it. We know very publicly Netflix was trying to get him to come over there, saying, we'll do whatever it takes. We know Universal was involved. We know Sony was involved. But it turns out that he ultimately went with Universal. So the question then kind of becomes, what was that factor? What was that one X thing that put Universal over the top, that say maybe Universal or that maybe Warner Brothers wasn't willing to give him, or that maybe Netflix wasn't willing to give him? What was that one thing? Well, we may now know what it was. 120-day window. That's crazy. This comes just from the folks over at Variety, who writes, sources familiar with the negotiations say that Nolan asked for, though it is unclear if he will receive, an exclusive theatrical window between 90 to 120 days for the upcoming World War II epic. The film will likely stay on the big screen for a longer period than the 45-day frame that appears to have become the industry standard in the post-pandemic era. If you want to know, Rob, when a director has, when somebody walks into a room, if they've got the biggest balls in the room. You know, Christopher Nolan is the guy when he walks in the room, he's got the biggest balls in the room. Because I don't even know that Spielberg right now can go into a room and say, yeah, you want my next movie? Give me a 120-day theatrical window. I don't even think Spielberg can do that right now.
Yes, he can.
I don't know that he can.
Did you see that West Side Story trailer? He can.
I don't know the West Side Story is going to do so great. I hope it does, but I don't know that Scorsese can. I don't know that Denis Villeneuve can. I think Christopher Nolan might be the only guy who can do it. And if you had asked me last week, I would have even said Christopher Nolan can't do that. Well, apparently Christopher Nolan thinks he can. And so he walks into Universal and says, you want my movie 120 days? Now, I get it. They're asking the question, Rob. Well, wait a minute. The movies make like almost all their money in the first month. And movie theaters aren't going to keep this movie on their screens for 4 months. It's not up to the studio to decide that. The theaters aren't going to keep, a movie that's 3.5 months old on the screen anymore. So what's the point of asking for 120 days? The point for Christopher Nolan asking for 90 to 120 days is not that he thinks this new World War II epic will continue to make big box office dollars, in its 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 14th, 15th week. It's about exclusivity. It's about the notion of, you want to watch this movie, You got to be in theaters. And if you don't, there's a little extra long wait time. It's about highlighting the importance of the exclusivity of it. That's the thing that Nolan is looking at. It's not a matter of dollars and cents. It's not a matter of, I believe in day 110, we can still be pulling in $5 million a day. He knows that's not the case. What this is to him is, because, Nolan is a huge proponent of the theatrical experience. It's about the sanctity of the theatrical experience and adding in there that exclusivity. And I'm not going to lie to you, Rob. I like it. I like that he's pushing for that. I just think it highlights the gravitas of the film itself by having a longer release date. Now, how long will it end up being? Even Variety is saying it may or may not be 90 or 120 days, but it'll certainly be longer than, the 45-day window. So, Rob, let me ask you this. Two big questions here. Question number one, what do you think about Nolan, just in general? What do you think about Nolan asking for the 90 to 120 days and all that kind of stuff? And number two, and this is the one that fascinates me even more. If Nolan gets this, let's say they give him a 90-day window or a 120-day window or whatever. Do you think that will embolden other directors to start putting in their deals that you want me to direct this? I want X amount of days or whatever. Because before, Rob, it just used to be standard. It was 90 days. It was just standard. Nobody had to negotiate for it. That's just what it was. If Nolan gets this, could this prompt other directors to ask for the same? So yeah, general feelings on the story, and then what do you think could happen afterwards?
Well, we're in a really interesting period of time. I mean, we're seeing Paramount Pictures as a theatrical producing entity is being systematically dismantled on a day-by-day basis. And the fact is, the motion picture business has always been volatile. Wall Street, it was never a great bet. Studios were never a great bet because there was no definitive way to prove how much money they were going to make through each fiscal quarter. Every movie was a crapshoot. Now, with streaming services, there is a financial stability that studios never had before. Disney Plus has money coming in every month, and it has, from a Wall Street point of view, a much more desirable mode of making money. And it doesn't matter theatrical. Theatrical doesn't matter anymore to the powers that be in terms of financial wherewithal. Problem is, the people that make movies, that make shows, like Christopher Nolan or Tarantino or even Spielberg, these are people that believe in the art of cinema. Well, the art of cinema is being taken away by the concerns of the next fiscal quarter. So we're now in a position where movie making and deal making are more diametrically opposed than ever because of the world of streaming. So a guy like Christopher Nolan knows that movies are inherently given value by being in the theater. The problem is, with everybody shrinking even their theatrical windows down to 45 days, people are going to be used to that churning up. Movies aren't going to have before, John, movies could last in theaters 120 days because, it would take a while for people to get to them. Families, people were at work. Nowadays, there's so much content coming at us from so many different directions that I don't believe that a 120-day window could at all, like you pointed out, be that viable. 45 days seems a bit short to me. I would have preferred 60. I think Christopher Nolan is asking for this, knowing he's not going to get it, but he'll at least be able to negotiate down and get a 60-day window. The real problem is will the movie-going public support that window? When his movie doesn't do well 60 days out, well, that's proof positive that those long theatrical windows deserve to go away. But that's because it's not just theatrical windows that's changing. It's the entire business. It's the entire way people enjoy entertainment. So I think what he's trying to do is at least buy himself a guaranteed 60-day window, which is more than 45 days. So people know that when Christopher Nolan makes a movie, it's a theatrical event. If filmmakers aren't going to do that, how are people going to know it's ever at all worth turning out to go to the studios to see anything? If they're not, look, we've got Right now, we've got Shang-Chi, great theatrical experience. We've got No Time to Die coming. We've got Dune coming. We've got hopefully Top Gun Maverick sometime in this millennia is going to come out. These are theatrical experiences, and we need somebody fighting for him. Whether he's going to get it, I don't know.
Well, he's definitely gonna get something. Here's the thing though, like even pre-pandemic, maybe once a year in the 90-day window, would a movie actually still be in theaters by the time it got to the 90 days? Like it's very, very rare. Most movies come and go probably within 6 weeks anyway. But it's just that, the studio or the theaters and everything, they wanted it to still be an exclusive time. So it wasn't just immediate. Oh, there it is on streaming. And as far as the streaming economic model goes, I mean, I think what Disney is starting to figure out, and by the way, Disney is still, and granted, we're only about 2 years into the Disney Plus thing, so it's going to take longer turnaround time, absolutely. But right now, Disney still loses money on Disney Plus. They still spend more money on the creating content, the actual administration, the back end, all that kind of stuff, the inner workings, the system, everything. Now, Forbes did a great report on this. Like, they're still spending more money than they are getting on Disney Plus. That'll eventually change. But like what Disney, I think, is starting to figure out, and we've talked about this before, and what Christopher Nolan believes, and why I think Christopher Nolan is pushing for this, is, again, you're going to get this movie on streaming. It's going to come. It's going to come to streaming. But you can either choose to make a couple of $100 million before it gets there, or you can throw that money out the window. Because it's eventually going to get onto streaming, and you're going to get the benefit of it being on streaming. And I think Disney is starting to figure that out. I think Warner Brothers, a year too late, is starting to figure that out. People and now you're seeing studios like Paramount that just don't have any kind of a back-end system like Warner Brothers does, like Disney does, kind of scrambling. So it's neat to see Nolan still fighting for that, because he doesn't just think it's good for him, the artist. He thinks it's good for the business. He thinks it's good for the industry to go that way. So I think you're right. It's going to be interesting. I don't think he's going to get the full 120 days. But obviously, Universal gave him something for him to sign the deal. It's going to be very interesting to see what that something is. You're guessing 60. You're probably right. I'm going to go a bit higher. I'm going to guess he got the 90. But you're probably going to be right. It's probably going to end up being 60. But we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this? That Christopher Nolan has the power to walk into a studio and say, I want a longer theatrical window than you give any other movie. Interesting move. What are your thoughts on this? Jump down into the comments section below and leave your thoughts there.